Ladies and gentlemen, the following is a test to see if this fixed problem is solely in the fact that it's too much pony and it's too much pony-esque for it to take. Enjoy. So, does anybody know where he is? It was rare to hear Ruby so openly worried, but most of it came from the subject of that concern. And so Sapphire was quick to reassure her. Wherever he is, trust that he's all right. After the last incident, I suspect he has the local people keeping an eye on him at every possible moment. Just in case that leg starts to drag a bit more, or given immunity, if there seems to be one crucial extra drop of sweat in his body, that may produce any number of false alarms. It didn't quite work. But when we don't know where he is, out for a morning walk, even when he shouldn't be. Word of an arriving patient he had to teleport to see. Lost among the archetypical fantasies, after the dreams of his own manifested, in a way that left him with buried the blueprints. Quiet sighed. Believe me, Miss Rose. Oh, very well, Ruby. I'm not happy about his continued absence from breakfast either. As I said before, he is a horrible patient, and I'm afraid he will push himself too fast. But I also have to trust that the town is ready to serve as 1,000 roaming nurses at need, any of whom might usher him at any given moment, hopefully no more injured than before, which, as the second instance of the day, this might threaten to create a streak. That last was said with a significant look at Pyrrha, who was starting to wonder if she had picked up a reputation for acquiring new bruises every time she got out of sight for a few minutes. She had been a little late to breakfast table herself. She and Yang had separated as they passed the guest cards, and had each tended to their own washing up before it got to meet the others. It had taken a little longer for Pyrrha to figure out an unseen way to the castle, along with several deep breaths before she finally risked going into instinct long enough to reach her room's balcony, which left a short flight filled with non-thoughts about why she had been worried about something so basic, to get all the dirt off, and then the leaves, especially the leaves. Plus, when you've been resting in the ground near so many grim, you had to take some time to check for insects, and then there could be other things. She didn't have rubophobia, and would continue to insist that any time somebody might suggest it. She was just practical. A person should be clean when hunting breakfast in a castle, and that person better take a few minutes with a fine-tuned comb and check her entire body for ticks. Also, grooming her long red ponytail. Always had a little trouble with her ponytail. Using her aura on any part of her body you couldn't directly see tended to be awkward, so a proper grooming session involved a great deal of twisting. That was before considering what the ticket required. I'm fine, Quiet, she insisted, wondering if she had groomed her hair long enough. Weiss believed 100 brushstrokes was required to simply venture out into the public without collapse. Pyrrha didn't know that was supposed to be per strand. I'm sure that Dr. Sands is too, Ruby. The kitchen can always make him something when he comes in. He just doesn't want to fix something himself. Somebody who lives alone has to know how to cook. Just about everybody carefully avoided looking at Nora. You don't know how to cook? Noriko immediately noted. Look, I could cook a little, and I don't live alone. I live with Ren. Duh. Living with Ren is why you don't cook. Look, I cook sometimes in the dorm for Nachon. They also do when you're trying to make Sugar Hay Twist come out right. Piran protested. Something you still can't do. And come with beer. And, Gunbuster can't heat everything. You really need to work harder. You're telling me I need to work harder. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to. No, it's fine. It's fine. I know I tend to rely on a lot of other stuff, and cooking just wasn't top priority. Sapphire chuckled. It's a challenge, I know. to caramelize all those lovely caramels without burning it off. You can't eat the coving even. Have our own gourmet chefs here in Charters Falls, but a proper sugar snack might be beyond the best of them. His right hand pushed an empty plate aside. A servant went and swooped in to collect it. So, what was everybody planning for today? Pyrrha had worked out her destination during the walk down to the dining room, so she hadn't a chance to tell anybody else. She knew where she needed to be, and so, I thought I visited the town's library. Then everyone was looking at her. The library, quite carefully said, yes. The town library? Yes. I quite declared, am insulted, and looked at it. She thought he was teasing. It was a sort of a tease anyway, and so the only thing to do with it was, and why are you insulted? Oh, please. With that slight tilt towards the door, you've seen my library. I remember every last moment of your encounter with it. The white and eyes, the increased heart rate. Oh, there might have been some intense brides involved. But I'm choosing to see it that, in the way you generally choose to declare your undying affections, you are in love with my library. And the first chance you're going to get, you're going to cheat on it with the town library. A library which will, to be frank, will allow itself to be patronized by anybody. It's a library without standards, not to mention a rather lacking ethics section. It really gets around if you take my meaning, or at least some of the more lurid books do. You have a choice between my library and the town library. Who do you wish to spend time with? There's a pause. You can almost see him considering the next words, wondering if he's about to carry the joke too far. Before waiting to, anyway. The town's book slut. Nora nearly choked on her very last bite of pancakes. Blake's entire face vanished behind he quickly tossed her hair, which didn't do anything to block the giggles. Weiss chose to develop a well-timed coughing fit. Yang snoring. Ruby buried her face in her napkin, and her face was gives her an effective concealment level of 300% over her hair. Nearly nothing is said virtually. Noriko was just physically trying to work through most of the vocab. Impura smiled. Oh, she slowly said, so you'd rather I spent some private time in your library? Well, anybody with taste. Completely private time. She cut him off, just going around, carefully appreciating the artistry of the covers and spines, especially the spines. When some of them have started to age, you've got to look more closely. The layers fade. In fact, you don't keep things perfectly organized. Some of the most important books could get lost from the casual side view. They look more or less just like each other. Anybody who truly knows about books is familiar with the problem. Hell, somebody could just get generic publications with brightest covers, rub a little dust in them to age them up a bit, slip onto the shelves while taking down something important, and bringing somewhere new, somewhere going to be appreciated. Yes, Sapphire, I would love to have a little completely private time in your library, taking things down, putting things back, seeing exactly what you have, and making sure nobody switched any of it on you yet. Why, given the size of your collection, it might take years before you notice some of the volumes are gone. Oh, and in case any of you are wondering why I'm giving Twilight's role to Pyrrha. 1. The maidens. 2. I'm willing to bet you anything Pyrrha has a love for books. I'm just thinking she probably loves reading, manuals and fight stories, and probably also loves to read fairy tales because her mom told her stories. I wouldn't bet anything she secretly was always a bookworm, but just never could show it because, she's more of a warrior. And I just like letting you folks know I'm torn between my love of White Rose versus White Knight and my love of cannon ships when it's coming to this. But seriously, if I don't think of a ship with Pyrrha soon in this, I might have to refer to John. But I want to do a White Knight ship with John and Weiss. What am I going to do with Pyrrha? Pyrrha, what am I going to do, guys? Let's see. Who else can I give Pyrrha to other than myself? Let's see. What do we need? What do we need? What do we need? What do we need? Let's see. Neptune, no. Sun, no. Any member of Team Extra? I mean the Alpha guys from the later arc seasons that I skipped. No. And I'm not about to do it OC just so I can have Pierre cuddle with me. I like to think I have more dignity than that. No, you don't. No, I don't, but I still like to pretend I do. The coffee seemed to be accelerating. Sapphire made a show to get over. The town library, you said? Yes. Why? Several facial echoes of the question manifested around the table. Because I'm in love with books. Pierre piously explained. Although sometimes it's not always easy to find time to read when, you're busy training a lot. You have a wonderful collection, Sapphire, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows that if I go in there alone, it may take a while before anybody can get me out again. Just believe me, I want to take some time in there before we leave. I want to talk to you about some of our suppliers and how I could get in contact with them. But today, I thought I'd see a town like Charter Falls does. I know that back at Beacon's budget is, and how much trouble I have working with it. While being one of the larger libraries on all of Remnant, there were still a lot of things that they had problems getting to, considering how hard it would be to cross the different lands and the different towns, and considering the rampant use of grim attacks might make travel a little bit harder. Trixie, let. I think this experiment's actually working. I, I'm thinking this actually works better using Ruby characters. So as long as I'm here, I'll find out what your facility's managing to get and the arguments they're using to bring it in. If I could just convince Beaking to give me a second branch. Uh-huh. Maybe I could finally start making the place into a real... I'm going to the town library, at least for the morning. What about you? Well, with the party so close now, there are some things I have to do. Sapphire amended, mostly signing forms, but I could put that off for... That was when one of the servants came in. Lord Shard. Tread softly was covering a sack of papers, a very tall sack. From Town Hall. To be sent back with bearing your handwriting as immediately possible. Or at least immediately as a certain somebody feels it should be done, of course. It is your discretion as to whether you wish to sulk somewhat. Practicality and minor forms of vengeance clasped upon Sapphire's face. The former barely won. No, put them down. Actually, put them down somewhere else. We don't want to risk flipping the table, much less giving my least favorite bureaucrat any excuse to ruin the party. Well, that's my morning settled, not my stomach. Anybody else? Because with the press still in town, I don't think Piero should be making her library stroll alone. Weiss winced a little. I need some practice time, she admitted. All the time I can find, well, along with rather more subtle methods of my swordplay and dust manipulation, and anything I can use for shopping due to certain family members removing my credit cards, I'll have to have somebody else buy. Still a little bit bond. I understand, Weiss. In no small part because she knew what the sleep-deprived alternative looked like, and was still flinching entirely at the prospect of being seen back 3 times just for a minor dust collection. Not your fault. Anybody else? I'll come, Noriko reliably offered, and left it at that. Ruby had pulled her face out of the napkin. The party is getting close, she softly mused, and if you need help... And that put Pierre into damage control mode. She knew how excited Ruby could get, and if nobody was there to control her, Ruby would be all over town in about 5 minutes. That, or she would be busy trying to figure out at least 5 different reconfigurations with Crescent Rose, or, barring that, trying to talk to every single person there that she could find that was obviously a hunter or a huntress about their new gun. And then trying to compare it to Crescent Rose and trying to brag about her, like one would brag about a newborn baby. That's so silly, Pierre thought to herself. There's no way Ruby would care for Crescent Rose like a newborn baby. Pierre then turned to Ruby. Ruby, have you ever held Crescent Rose at night? I did, Ruby said indignantly, while looking back behind her back where her prized weapon was. Sometimes she gets a little lonely and a little restless. Sometimes I had to tuck her in at night and tell her that I still love her and put her into bed. And then I had to read her a bedtime story. Oh, don't look at me like that, girls. It took me 9 months to build her. 9 long months. She deserves a lot of care and affection. Weiss blinked at this. 9 months to build a weapon? Isn't that just about as long as... Yang put a finger to Weiss's lips. Shh. Believe it or not, yes. A weapons manual is how I taught her about the birds and the bees. Don't ask the details, Weiss. Just trust me on this. It was a long and arduous process. Weiss thought about it for a minute. Then a longer minute. Sighed and nodded. Right. I'll go practice my fencing. Yang, you go do Blake. At that, Yang and Blake looked at each other, blushed, and then turned away before Yang could mutter, I don't do Blake all the time. I mean, my time isn't spent inside Blake all the time. I mean, I'm really not liking you, Weiss. Weiss can only giggle at this as she taps away, her high heels lightly clacking the floor as she does waves goodbye. Pyrrha smiled and shook her head. I do need some help, Ruby. But a lot of help, please. I'm sorry for taking you away from it, but there might be new books on weapons. Ruby's eyes proudly shined in the daylight before rushing over and giving Pyrrha a big hug. You're my big sister! Before turning back to Yang. You're my old big sister. She's my new big sister. Yang let a chuckle at this before nodding. Right. I'll enjoy being an only child for a bit until I come up with a better weapon. I got it, little sis. She then patted Ruby on the head before giving an affectionate little kiss on her little sister's forehead. Ruby? As she neared the bedroom to get ready, she looked at her new friend. Ruby could only sigh. She told you. I thought she would. I kind of thought she had to, after what I said at the waterfall. I told her it was okay, because if you understood, I think you can understand a lot more now. More than ever, you know what to do. She ran her hand through her red hair. No bounce detected. What are you going to do, Pyrrha? The warrior took a tiny step forward, then another. Then she ran forward, placed her arms around Ruby's back, placed her face into her red hair, and refused to move. Eventually, another arm came up and rubbed against her. I'm sorry, Ruby. I'm really sorry. I didn't know. I don't even know how to be this sorry. It's not my fault or anything I ever did. Or all I can feel and say is that I'm sorry. And it doesn't I do anything. I can't do anything. You can do the most important thing, came the soft words. The same thing you've always done. And just treat me like me. No staring contest. Or anything else weird. Because we're both more than that, okay? It's going to be hard. But you can do it. Knowing about your lack of... It's okay, Pyrrha. Ruby giggled. I got my own. I don't need hand to hand. I can beat people up pretty well with my own sword, with my own crescent rose. She said, spinning her knife in midair before catching it. I know I'm a little clumsy and goofy when I'm not wielding her, but it's fine. I'm used to it by now. Almost as carefully as Pyrrha, a little more eagerness in Hope-writing words. How did everything go with Sapphire? Is he with us now? Can we take him out to the orchard or maybe to Ravine or anywhere? Can you come, Pyrrha, please? There was a moment when all thoughts were crowding together in her head. He scared me last night. I don't know why. I don't understand why. I just know he scared me. I don't want him touching me again. I don't want him with us, or he's part of Ruby's life. He was close to Sun. He brought Summer and Sun together. He's why she's here at all. He's the reason I have a friend. He's scared of me. He's part of her family, isn't he? And she's one of his. I saw how he greeted her. Nuzzled Blake. The nuzzle meant for family. He cares about them. Maybe even loves them. But he scared me. With that question. I don't believe his explanation was real. The family of Ruby had dealt with many, many tragedies. She couldn't make herself speak against one who had already experienced so much pain and misery. No, we mainly talked about aura and semblances all night, Ruby. I'm sorry it got too late, and you know me, when it comes to aura and semblances, it's all too easy to see sadness in the young huntress's eyes. It's so simple to remember how the girl had been pushed into ancient history department. Would have missed it completely. But there's something that made me think a little. Help us. Please, don't tell me about our mission. Not yet. I want to check something. Maybe later. Maybe never. But not yet, please. A long, slow sigh. The way the words immensely emerged reminded her of Blake. All right, Vera. It's a mission. You're pretty much in charge now, so all right, I won't tell him, and I'll let Blake know when I see her. Hopefully not without prying. But he said something was my help. Pyrrha nodded. It's time to do what I do third best, Ruby. And somewhere she found a smile. I'm going to go do research. Okay, folks. You all out there who actually listen to this, you tell me in the comments if you noticed any difference.